What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to Redemption with Jaden. We're going to get right down to it. Lackey Grand Prix 23, Round 3 going on here against Josh Potratz as our opponent for this round. And you'll notice things are a little bit different. It's another hotel video. Sorry for different audio and whatnot, but hopefully, it'll be okay. The video quality is also going to be a little bit less than typical for this week because for some reason my computer was not wanting to cooperate with the hotel Wi-Fi and my laptop was doing just fine, so I recorded on my laptop, which does not have the best quality for anything. So I played the game on my laptop and recorded it on there, sent it over to here, and now we're going to be watching it, the game with Josh, just because the audio is also kind of messed up. So it's going to be kind of similar to last week where I'm just doing commentary on the video. We're going to be watching it at 2x speed this time, actual 2x speed the whole time, and I think I got that figured out, but we'll see, I guess. So this week's deck is one that I wasn't originally planning to play this week. I had a different deck in mind and just didn't feel like it was quite ready, so I'm gonna have it let it simmer a little bit longer, and maybe we'll see it next week, maybe not sure yet, but I've got it's a fun one that I've got cooking up, so I just want to make sure that it's ready to go. And in the meantime, I was talking to Renee, and he's kind of been playing a little bit with NT Gold recently, so if you've played any games against him, you'd probably know this, and he's got a few different defenses that he's been trying out, and we were talking about potential defenses for NT Gold from the new set. And I was like, I feel like Greeks would be kind of the way to go because you can play kindness and you get a little bit of synergy there with some of the discard stuff. But then it kind of occurred to me, I guess, that Persians also have a good bit of synergy with NT Gold in the sense that they like to reserve things. And so with Sychar, it doesn't matter the alignment of the cards that are being reserved. And so if you have evil cards that reserve your opponent's cards and good cards that reserve your opponent's cards, they're both going to trigger Sychar and hopefully get you a lot of drawing. So that was kind of what I was hoping to do. NT Gold is a little bit notorious for being kind of slow, and so I was hoping this would be a good way to speed it up a little bit, and it would also be fun to try out the new Persian stuff with kind of how effective is the reserving part. If your opponent has good reserve access, then maybe it's not that great because they can just start getting stuff back. We'll see a little bit of that because Josh is going to be playing his Joshua Greeks deck, and Joshua has pretty decent reserve access, so that's one of the things to kind of keep an eye out for with this particular matchup, but just matchups in general if you're playing Persians. But also, you still have to get the pieces together. You're gonna, it's a lot of eggs in one basket if you're just doing Sychar. So I also decided to kind of keep Browns. It's not really Browns anymore. But the Miklosoul idea, I guess, that Brown was kind of the first defense to really leverage Miklosouls with the Kings of Judah and that kind of stuff. But now we've got some better options, though I thought, well, if I'm already in Brown, then maybe I will just continue to, or I'll try out some of the Miklosoul synergies, I guess, with Persians and see if that works. So we've got high places, we got Miklosouls in the first. We're playing Herod's Temple because it just kind of makes sense with the offense, and then you can combo with the first and get some extra draws each battle phase. And then also Good Shepherd is another decent draw engine that NT Gold has access to that is also kind of relevant. Restricting Evil Dominance is kind of more important than it has been, I think, in recent years, just because Evil Dominance are fairly common now, or getting to be more popular, I guess, as defenses tend to, are kind of trending toward more balance, being a little bit more reliable. So yeah, that's one thing to note, I guess, about Good Shepherd, though, is that if you're playing it in a deck with the first, that can get you in trouble, because if you attack with Good Shepherd, he also negates Lost Souls. So if you draw and you draw the first, then it gets stuck in play, and then you lose your Meek Lost Soul Unity for other things. So yeah, one thing to keep an eye out for. I am playing this at 57. I think if I were to get down to 50, or at least that was kind of the original plan, was to be at 50, then I would just cut Led Astray, cut Lost Soul, and then I'd have to figure out some other stuff to cut here, but it didn't quite make it down there, so here we are. I can also just kind of sort some of these other cards into more the dual alignment cards into their respective places. I think it might be easier to kind of see the balance of things going on here, like the true balance, because looked a little bit light on heroes there, but we do actually have 11 heroes in the main deck, and then 9 evil characters in the main deck, so that's pretty decent chunk there. So NT Gold, fairly straightforward NT Gold stuff. We do have Citizens of Sychar in there to help get Sychar out early. Also Resurrection can do that as well. And then other kind of NT Gold tricks that they have, or Watchful Servant to help get drawing out. Did have Res Revealer and Gabriel in here to help get Resurrection early. And the kind of Resurrection play, and also Talitha Kum play, is you can ban in Jairus' daughter and Zacchaeus, Jairus' daughter to toss the next, and Zacchaeus to reserve the evil character. Not really anything new, but it's just something that not everybody realizes is also an NT Gold thing, not just Disciples. So we also have Simon of Cyrene in here to work with Holy Grail and New Covenant. Simon of Cyrene can be a good early option, or like turn 1 option in particular, if you'd say you're going first. If you have Angel of the Winds, you could go to Watchful Servant, but your opponent's probably not going to have many Lost Souls yet. So Angel of the Winds to Simon of Cyrene to New Covenant can grab you like an Amazing Faith or something like that. Amazing Faith in particular is good to help set up Resurrection, get Sychar rolling. That's kind of the goal here. So that's pretty much the offense. I did have Restoring the Afflicted in here as kind of a meta call, just because I think people are starting to play cards like A-Bomb more often, and so having a way to deal with neutral cards is, in Special Initiative in particular, is kind of important. So Restoring the Afflicted just seemed like it fit well. It's also a reserve ability, so it can get a potential draw 2, not just draw 1 with that. And it also tosses nice with Herod's Temple, so felt like that was another bonus. It's also a star card. We've got a decent number of star enhancements in here, so that can come in handy occasionally. So that's pretty much all the exciting things about the offense. It's pretty standard NT Gold, which I guess we don't really see a whole lot of. I guess while we're talking about the offense, I might as well point out the reserve. Magnifying Multitude is in here as kind of just another way to enable Resurrection Revealer. I wanted to have another Gospel Angel, but couldn't really fit one in the deck in case they deal with Gabriel. So I've got Emmaus Road in here that can pull Magnifying Multitude out of reserve. I felt like that might be decent enough. Magnifying Multitude could also be banded in with Talitha Kum, and you to draw a couple more cards. Seemed reasonable. And then also Angel Party is in reserve. If I'm going to be reserving my opponent's cards on both offense and defense, even though the defense doesn't really hit the deck generally, I mean, I guess Confusion kind of, but mostly we're not going to be targeting the opponent's deck with Angel Party, but games are just kind of going longer these days, and so Angel Party has the potential to come in handy at the end of a game, although that's another thing matchup dependent, because against Greeks they have a lot of ways to put cards back into their deck, another thing that we will see in this game. Holy Grail, I mentioned, works well with Simon of Cyrene. Mostly have it in here because of the Kings of Judah splash that I ended up with, which was Amaziah the Arrogant, who can choose a hero to attack and the CVN if a Meek Lost Souls in play, Rehoboam to negate enhancements and other characters, and then Queen Makkah, so I guess not just Kings of Judah, but also the Queen of Judah with Queen Maka to activate an OT idol from reserve, artifact pile, or discard pile. We've got, of course, A-Bomb in reserve, and try to get those triggers to get your opponent to not be able to deal with a neutral card on special initiative. And the cool thing about this is that even if they do deal with it, like say that they did have Restoring the Afflicted to negate and reserve A-Bomb, you could just use Queen Maka to ban King Rehoboam, or Rehoboam the Divider, and then negate their negate. So then it happens anyway. So they have to have like a CBN or CBI special initiative card against an artifact, which is unlikely to have, but can't think of like too many off the top of my head. So it seems like a reasonable combo against at least lone heroes, and the rest are all Persian stuff. Pretty much just like the basics, kind of the essentials. No Darius's Satraps in here, no Deceiver in here, which was something that I realized probably should be in here. I think Deceiver is better than Cyrus, which is probably what should have been cut for Deceiver, or maybe Trusted Politicians. I don't know. I like this protection. This protectability seems good against like Choose the Blocker and that kind of stuff. So yeah, I don't know. Or maybe just Malachite Slave comes out for Deceiver. That's probably the best option. I don't know. I like having a Malachite Slave, especially when he's on Brigade, so you can still play stuff on him. But I don't know. Deceiver is maybe just stronger overall. Maybe both should be in there, but I don't know. Deceiver should be in here nonetheless. I do have a few Persians in reserve for Cyrus to ban to. I kind of just wanted to try out the tossing interrupt thing, because I wasn't playing many of the interrupt cards. In fact, I actually cut all of them. I don't have Mask of Arrogance or Haman's Boasting would be kind of the main ones. One of the other ones that I've been thinking about is Destroying Bands. I feel like that one's getting better now that people are actually playing more defense. So cards like Destroying Bands or Korra's Rebellion can be pretty good. And yeah, the rest is pretty straightforward. I wanted to have at least a few negates, Falsify Claims, and Descent Against Moses. They work well with Cyrus when you're tossing interrupt stuff. And Six Bowl of Wrath was kind of an interesting one, but I felt like it merited a spot just because having an extra add to battle is kind of nice. And we've got Rehoboam, we've got Amaziah, we've got Cyrus, we've got Ahasuerus, I don't know, however you want to say it. So I just thought it would be kind of nice, and then also you could maybe get a sneaky play on offense if your opponent like strands a Resurrection Revealer or Gabriel or something in battle, and then you're like, oh, I do have a Silver Enhancement, haha. And then you can take out all their evil cards and win the battle. Huzzah. I was hoping to have at least a little bit more of the Meek Soul synergy with like Persians. Not that they have a whole lot, but I did put None to Rescue at least in their reserve here. So I figured it'd be kind of cool, like late game, deal with a bunch of their heroes, get a trigger with Sychar. It is one or more cards, so it only triggers once if you reserve multiple cards at the same time. So it would still be like reserve up to X heroes and then draw 4 potentially with None to Rescue, 3 plus the one from Sychar. But yeah, it still seemed pretty good. So defense fairly solid here, I think, between the neutral stuff with A-Bomb, and then also we've got Madness in here for Descent Against Moses, and then you can also get it out with Storehouse or Persian Horses or Horsemen. So yeah, definitely some good flexibility here. Cyrus to Xerxes, playing Sheol to ban to another Persian, especially if it's like Haman, or Ahasuerus is decent if your opponent just has a lot of cards. Has to be a human Persian though, so you can't ban to Prince, unfortunately, but you could just start with Prince, I guess, and then ban to Cyrus. Yeah, lots of cool stuff you can do. I'm not too sold on the splash between the Kings and Persians. I think maybe all Persians would have been better, but I did want to try out this, and was going Meek Lost Souls. So I was like, yeah, what the heck, we'll try it out. So that is what I ended up with for the game, and we're gonna do a quick shout out to our sponsors over here at Your Turn Games. They do have a Collector's Corner sale going on right now for a limited time. You can get 40% off of the Collector's Corner stuff, which I feel like he just did this. And I mean, I know that a good chunk of the stuff did go. And so, now that the Labor Day sale was over, the sales just keep on coming over at Your Turn Games. So it's good to keep a close eye on these sales going on, especially if you're looking for some of these Collector's Corner items, some of the special Nats promos, also rare pluses. He's got, I think, at least one foil on there right now, last time I checked. But the deal ends on Friday, which is tomorrow, if you're watching the video on the day of release. So Friday at midnight, you gotta have your order in and placed for the 40% off discount if you want to take advantage of that. So head on over to Your Turn Games, get some cards at a good price, and we're gonna go ahead and get into the game with Josh here. Now, I do have to say that because of the trouble with my computer, I didn't even put my video on here. All right, hang on. Because of the trouble with my computer, I did not have the very beginning of the game recorded because there we go. Because I had to move from my computer to my laptop, which started out on the computer and wasn't working all that well. So anyway, we're kind of starting in my turn, actually the beginning of Josh's first turn. He won the die roll. He actually chose me to go first, which was a little unfortunate because, as you can see, my hand was a little awkward. I've got a bunch of evil characters, one good enhancement, no heroes. Did have a storehouse, though, and activated a Holy Grail. Josh had a Teaching in Parables star ability in his opening hand, so he used that, hit a Lost Soul off the top, and now you can see that he's using Teaching in Parables here. And I should move myself out of the way because that's how we do it for games. So you can see Teaching in Parables there being played on a Stone Carriers and Confusion of Mind being activated as well. Teaching in Parables reserves my Prince of Persia. And Caleb comes down. Reserving Prince of Persia is kind of annoying, but it makes sense. I wasn't playing Deceiver, so I'm not playing Deceiver, so it doesn't actually matter too much if he reserves the humans versus non-humans. I think my ways to get them out are pretty much the same, except maybe Cyrus can ban 2 non-humans from reserve. So actually, you can tell it didn't really come up in the game because I forgot, but or I would have remembered if it could. But anyways, Josh didn't really have much to go against my defense the way I had it set up there. He saw Malachite Slave in the plot there, so he didn't want to just push in heroes for them to get plotted away. And so he actually just passed the turn there as well. I drew 3, drew my Gyrus, and used the star ability to reserve the captain off the top of his deck, and a storehouse to take Torn Kingdom in my upkeep, and decided to just push in with Gyrus to see if he had anything. I didn't have anything to do with Gyrus, especially because Confusion of Mind was there negating his ability. So that didn't really pan out, or I didn't have anything to negate, but it wouldn't have mattered anyway because Judean Mediums plus Prince of Greece is pretty good, especially with me using that storehouse at the beginning of the turn, so I did use a search ability. So I just put down a couple of evil characters, including the Trusted Politicians. Mostly I wanted to just protect some characters from Promised Land and have them available, but and then also Trusted Politicians to protect my hand from Promised Land regardless. And then I passed the turn to Josh, and he put down Shrine to Artemis, activated that, shuffled away mediums, and got Priest of Zeus. I drew 3 here, or he passed the turn again, kind of still afraid of my defense, which it kind of turned out to be one of those games that was just kind of like that. And so I drew my 3, got my storehouse trigger. I get to reserve another card off the top of Josh's deck, which you probably saw. I don't remember at this point. And I took Madness with Storehouse, And this is kind of the unfortunate part about running Holy Grail against Greeks, is that Shrine to Artemis can reset them on his turn, so it really doesn't matter if I were to convert. Well, his Priest of Zeus would trigger either way, so it's almost better for him to have it as a hero. It doesn't get protected by Areopagus as a hero, so or is it Areopagus or Areopagus? I always forget. But anyway, I forget if the E comes before the R. I'm gonna look it up because there's a little bit of a lull in the game. I decided to deactivate Holy Grail. Yeah, Areopagus. Okay. And reserve his stone carriers, and that deactivated Holy Grail, activated Madness. Just kind of wanted to start chipping away at his offense while things were kind of at a lull in the game. As far as offenses go, I wasn't going to push out Jairus' daughter just to have the same thing pretty much happen to her. Although he didn't have Judean mediums at this point, so I guess I could actually have used Lost Coin Found if he did block with Prince of Greece. But yeah, I decided it wasn't worth it there. He put down another artifact, put down a storehouse. He has a Wicked Lost Soul that he drew this turn, which doesn't really matter for my offense. I'm not really protecting anything. And I also put down a Herod's Temple, which is relevant. And we've seen Alexander's Destroyers there. That's the one that restricts good dominance, can be to a Greek or draw 2. That one's pretty good. I think the restrict good dominance, just being able to naturally be in the banding chain, is pretty solid. The Greeks kind of just want to band together, or at least in some cases. They just want a big banding chain anyway. A lot of them band together, and having the restriction just kind of baked in there is pretty good. We see that with Judas as well, banding to demons. All right, pretty similar turn here. I take Madness from reserve of Storehouse, and I use it to reserve his Caleb now. And now I have to empty a few more cards out of my hand. So I put down a Malachite Slave, and I put down Jairus' daughter. And I recognize a little bit later, at least, that putting down a Malachite Slave was probably actually the wrong play. I do want to protect it from Promised Land, but because Joshua comes out with Captain pretty much with every rescue, can always negate something, and negating Trusted Politicians I didn't care too much about, and Queen Mako's CBN, of course, but negating Malachite Slave is fairly significant. So that was something that if I could have avoided putting a Malachite Slave down, that would have been better. I maybe what I could have done this turn is the previous turn was use Crowd's Choice to search for something good that I could actually try to rescue with. But I don't know. I think I was probably better off doing what I did here and just kind of waiting things out. So anyway, I passed to Josh. Book of the Covenant takes your man from reserve. He activates Joshua's Covenant and then exchanges something for Joshua's Officiators. Then he comes out with Medad, exchanges with Joshua, the commander, who can then take the captain that I reserved earlier from his reserve, draw a couple cards, negate my Malachite Slave, and then band to Joshua's Officiators, equip Joshua's Sword from deck, draw 1, and discard. I believe he goes with Storehouse at this point. Having the 2 layers of protection is pretty good for me. You can see that I'm going here on my laptop for, I think once I updated Lackey, it didn't save any of my macros, and so I hadn't fixed that yet. So I need to go and do that, at least give me the draw 3 option so I could stop having to type it in if I wanted to draw 3 cards at a time. So here I block with the Trusted Politicians and withdraw all but 1 hero, so I left Captain in battle. hoping to be able to do some damage there. In particular, I was hoping to play better to be slaves and try to take out a bunch of his defense. Or actually, Haemon's plot probably would have been used against his defense and better to be slaves against his heroes, because his heroes were protected from discard by Medad. But he had the glory there, so he played that to make sure that I couldn't play enhancements. And I decided to shoot off the burial there to take out the Lost Souls. And I was actually kind of thinking that it might have been better for me there to just use Crowd's Choice as evil to go get led astray. And that way I could have kept my trusted politicians alive. I don't know. And then I would have held on to Burial, and then also having the Meek Lost Souls is kind of nice, just in general, for like if I drew, Good Shepherd here, that would be potentially relevant. I drew Talitha Koum here and almost had the third Reserve the Top star ability of the game, but he's got a storehouse now, so I decided not to use that because it wouldn't have worked against him. I drew New Covenant, and so I figured I could maybe start getting things rolling a little bit, potentially here. But you can see he put down Winged Leopard, Prince of the Air, and the Deceiver. So using a search ability here pretty much guarantees that I'm not actually going to get a rescue, because Deceiver can just go to mediums. But I decided to just send out Jairus' Daughter anyway and kind of just see what he decides to do. If I get initiative and can play Amazing Faith, then that's pretty good for me. I don't know. I think I was maybe not thinking about Deceiver and the fact that he could just do that to go to mediums. But that's what he does here. Deceiver to mediums, and bans to Winged Leopard, gets to draw 1, and then ban to Destroyers to get the restricting of Good Dominance, and then Prince of Greece to discard Jairus' Daughter. He didn't realize here, or he realized it pretty much right after, but he decided to negate Herod's Temple instead of negating Jairus' Daughter, so I did get to use the top deck ability on Prince of Greece, I did get to use the top deck ability when Prince of Greece defeated her, because she has that ability. So that was kind of nice because, for one, it puts more cards in between me and Lost Souls, and at this point, I was kind of like, we might just end up going the Angel Party route for this game, and I was kind of, I was thinking about, Shrine and some of the other things that, the Greeks have that could work well against Angel Party, like just all the territory destruction, like A-Bomb can just take it out, which is a little unfortunate, but I was like, all right, we just we're going to have to figure out a way to play around it somehow. I don't know. But yeah, definitely was going to be tough to actually get through that defense unless I could get Zacchaeus rolling or something and start choosing the blocker. So anyway, Josh managed to find a hopper here. I think he got it in his upkeep draw, like the draw 1 off of Areopagus, and so I had my Jairus' Daughter off of that. He found his hopper and got to do some hopping. And now all of my hand protection stuff is gone with Trusted Politicians, which was actually negated by Distress anyway, so that wasn't that big of a deal. But I maybe could have done Crowd's Choice to Son of God if that was actually the deciding factor, I guess. With my storehouse gone, with Trusted Politicians gone, Josh is able to play Promised Land to take my Haemon's Plot, and then he uses Shrine to shuffle Promised Land, Joshua's Covenant to take Promised Land back, and then gets so that was the second Promised Land trigger, takes my Reap the Whirlwind, and then he puts down Medad, and which means I know what's coming here. Lost Child Found is coming to bounce Promised Land, Medad, and my Haemon. That's right. So that he can play Promised Land for a third time and take my Haemon. So yeah, this was a pretty big turn for Josh here, being able to get 3 Promised Land triggers. Although I still have 2 evil characters and a couple evil enhancements left, so yeah, this definitely bodes well for him. All right, yeah, Torn Kingdom also, so I guess 3 evil enhancements and a crowd's choice. So it bodes well for him as far as his progress toward getting a rescue, but still wasn't necessarily a guarantee. He does attempt to use Book here, but I pointed out that because he already used Joshua's Covenant, then actually it was he essentially already did activate Book for the turn and then passed on the taking a Covenant from reserve. They changed that a little while ago where any card with a hold ability, or specifically an artifact with a hold ability, has to be activated before you can use the hold ability that turn, so before you activate anything that it's holding. So before Josh goes into battle, I decide to Crowd's Choice for Promised Land for 3 woes to play it as evil, so I can get a Promised Land. Man, my brain's going too many steps ahead. So play with 3 woes as evil to negate Promised Land to get my Haemon back. Unfortunately, it only gets Haemon back. It doesn't bring back all of the other ones that Promised Land took this turn, even though it's the same card, but it was reset. So it only undoes the one that was taken most recently, I guess, kind of with that instance of Promised Land, since it was in the same phase. I do get the card back, though. So we got Joshua coming in, banning to Captain. I guess Joshua's sword is supposed to go first here. I think we kind of figure out the sequence of things here. It was a little bit of a messy game from a like sequencing abilities perspective, but we were fairly generous with each other. But yeah, so Joshua's sword and Captain, draw 4 between those 2, and then Joshua's sword taking out my Herod's Temple, which is fine. I don't think it was really going to do anything for me anyway, the way that this game was going. So Stone Carriers just negates my new Covenant, I guess. Doesn't really do much, or at this point, not really any relevant neutral cards to negate. So I have to figure out what to do here. Malachite Slave is being negated by Captain, and I foolishly block with Queen Maka, thinking that I have Lost Soul or Meek Lost Soul Unity, but unfortunately, because it says Hopper, I do not. It's not Meek, nor is it one I control, so it doesn't count toward Unity or give me Unity at all. So it was a little bit unfortunate. I could have blocked with Haemon here and had a bit of a better block. Still wouldn't have been great, but it would have definitely been done something, whereas Mako is just being pushed out there as a meek evil character, essentially. So I play Better to Be Slaves, and I kind of mull it over a little bit on who to actually capture here. But I know I want to capture Priest of Zeus because I want to be able to draw and not get my territory blown up. And then I was trying to think of which heroes could I leave in battle, and which ones could I take. I think what I end up deciding to do here is take Joshua, Stone Carriers, and Priest of Zeus. So kind of the Strand Captain strategy again. And I drew 3 Meek Lost Souls. Hey, look, I've got Meek Lost Soul Unity now. And then the first. So I draw 1, put the first back on top. And then also you can see Son of God, Let Us Ray, and Rehoboam. And they're like, oh, those are just... If I had those 3 cards and those Meek Lost Souls before this block, then, man, I was going to be in such good shape. But unfortunately, Josh has the... dominance that he needs at this point. He's only got 6 cards left in his deck at this point in the game. So Angel Party is looking okay as a possibility. But he plays Son of God, Second Coming, picks up the two of the Meek Lost Souls that I just drew, and then plays 3 woes as good to negate Better to Be Slaves, which, a little unfortunate because those 3 cards that I just drew were going to be quite relevant. Or would have been quite relevant. So Led Astray could have got me the block here, and then Son of God, definitely good for many things, especially like a humble lost soul in particular would be nice to deal with when you've got Rehoboam sitting on top there. But yeah, so he's got the woes, and I'm kind of stuck trying to figure out, okay, can I actually get a block here? Is it worth it to play anything else? Playing Descent Against Moses, I could negate Joshua's sword, get my Herod's Temple back, but that didn't really seem like it was worth it because I wasn't going to be able to win the battle with it by reserving heroes. Even if I negate Joshua, like Joshua's band, and then basically I just didn't want to give him initiative because Amazing Faith was a card that I knew he still had from, I think he revealed it for a star ability at some point. So what I end up doing here is playing Torn Kingdom to discard Joshua and Promised Land. I kind of figured that would just give me enough of a momentum pause, I guess. Try to slow him down a little bit. And then I just let Maka die by the numbers, gave him the hopper, so I got the Meek Lost Souls out of there. And we go to his discard phase. He throws away my plot and my Reap the Whirlwind. He took from me, so I don't know if you didn't want him, you just give him back. Come on, man. Why you gotta be so rude, So anyway, I knew the 3 cards I was going to draw there starting my turn. I've got a Rehoboam whose star ability would have been nice, but unfortunately doesn't work through Storehouse, so discarding a good card from a reserve. And there I had my Son of God and Led Astray. Felt pretty nice about pretty good about the Led Astray. It's possible that he could have pulled the Lord's Army out of reserve or something, but Haman could deal with that. Also Rehoboam, I suppose. So Led Astray helped me feel a little more comfortable about my next block, although I do have to kind of worry about You Will Remain being a thing, so I gotta figure out a way to deal with that. And now I kind of have to figure out a way to actually do something with my offense here because just was not coming up very well. Even if I did have Watchful Servant or Good Shepherd to do some drawing, it definitely was not getting through that defense very easily. While doing so, he's got Priest of Zeus to slow me down, and then any searching I do would trigger Judean Mediums. And so instead of using New Covenant here to trigger a search, I decided to activate Holy Grail, which I should have just activated and not actually used at this point. At Holy Grail is at any time, so you don't have to use it when you activate it. You can use it, during your opponent's turn. In this case, that's when I should have done it because I wasn't actually going to be searching before I attacked, so I didn't really care about Judean Mediums. I just wanted to attack with Jairus' daughter straight up, and then try to get Amazing Faith off is kind of the goal here. Unfortunately, because he's playing very evil dominant heavy defense here, he uses Warrior Overtaken to snipe my citizens of Sychar in territory, which then makes Antiochus a block, which I was actually kind of proud of myself for catching that. The Antiochus, all these Greek guys, hard to know how to pronounce it, but Antiochus, we'll just go with that, I guess. He requires you to discard a card of matching alignment, which has to be a card in play or set aside area probably. And so because Citizens of Sychar was my only other good card, then if he took out that, then Antiochus becomes a block. Unfortunately, or I guess fortunately for me, he didn't have a way to negate Jairus' daughter with Prince of Greece, and so I was still able to top deck her instead. But still, it wasn't ideal. But I did make him use a dominant, I suppose, so it's kind of a dom block at fairly little expense to me. My Citizens of Sychar wasn't going to be doing much this game anyway, so I don't know. Maybe it wasn't that big of a deal, but I was thinking 2 things I should have done differently that turn is not use Holy Grail when I did, and the second thing was potentially I could have just used New Covenant to grab Angel Party here, because if I had been thinking about how many cards were left in his deck and how many Lost Souls he had 2 Lost Souls left in his deck and 6 cards left total in his deck. And so that meant that he was probably going to be decked out by my turn. So I could have just done New Covenant to get Angel Party and played it. I couldn't really protect it though, which, is important. I kind of wanted to make sure that I would have a way to protect it. Like if he has an A-bomb or something, then that triggers with Areopagus and all that kind of stuff. Then, or anything that triggers it, he'd be able to just snipe it right away. So I was like, it probably wouldn't have made a difference either way, but here we are. So anyway, I've got the, let's see. Oh, what did he do in his prep here? Book of the Covenant went to Covenant of Prayer from reserve, which he then activated to take Nazareth from his reserve to slow down my defense a little bit, I guess. I mean, slow down my deck in general. Since he had such a big advantage, then Nazareth made sense here. Turns out my Malachite Slave, which he had been doing with Captain, but him putting Captain in battle was kind of a liability. Notably, he had been forgetting his Storehouse triggers pretty much every turn, which is important because that's where he had his silver gold enhancement that he would have been able to play on Captain. But anyway, he goes out with Joshua's Officiators, manages Stone Carriers. He wants to get initiative here, and he blocks, or I block with Rehoboam, who negates his Joshua's Officiators. So then he plays Amazing Faith to negate Rehoboam, brings Stone Carriers back into battle, and interestingly does not give him enough numbers just by itself to be beating Rehoboam. And so he has to play one more enhancement. So he plays Scarlet Line, which is kind of important. I mean, I'm taking out a lot of his resources, or not taking out, but making him spend more resources at least. And you may be thinking like, oh, why didn't you play Led Astray? And he's still got Yor remain there, so he would have just been able to add another hero. And as long as he added something bigger than Rehoboam, then it would have been enough. Descent against Moses doesn't work with Nazareth out. So I end up just giving him Lost Soul, puts him at a whopping 4 to my 0 at this point. But who knows? Maybe we get there with Angel Party, right? Right? Maybe. I use Nazareth or Woes on Nazareth, and then decide to activate New Covenant and take Teaching in Parables. I figured it probably wasn't going to do a whole lot for me, but at least let me see what he's got left for offense in there, because he's only got 1 card left in his deck, so I kind of wanted to see, okay, what am I still dealing with as far as his offense is concerned, and then his defense, we'll see if we can deal with that somehow. The card I was most afraid of in that hand was Forces Arise, because for one, it means that it means that he could just keep on activating A-Bomb and take out Angel Party, or he can just keep on underdecking it at the right time so that my Angel Party doesn't even trigger. So definitely a good card against Angel Party. Trying to Artemis as well, but for sure Forces Arise with just how the timing works. You can just do it right before my upkeep. You can do it in my draw phase and underdeck it, and pretty much nothing I can do about that. Then Josh plays Martyr right away on Jairus' daughter to kind of take her out, make sure that she doesn't come back. It was kind of a questionable play. I'm not entirely sure why he did that. When I had to use the search ability that turn, I guess because I'm pretty sure he had mediums back mediums was the last card left in his deck there. but yeah, so I guess technically he didn't have a way to make his stuff CBN that turn, so it kind of made sense. Maybe I should have attacked with Good Shepherd there, and but yeah, I don't know. He still had enough enhancements and whatnot. He could have just blocked with Goliath. What I should have done there is Angel of the Winds to Zacchaeus and tried to make something happen there. Choose Prince or no, actually, never mind. I drew Angel of the Winds off of Areopagus in his upkeep. So yeah, I don't feel bad about that one. But anyway, block with Haman here. Go searching for Honor Thy Enemy. And I play 6 Bull of Wrath, place that on territory just to get set up. And then I was thinking, like, okay, I have Woes on Nazareth, so I can use Confusion. And then I was like, oh, he still has Storehouse. So, but I played it, so banished it and did nothing. I think I named Forces Arise. That was the card that, if I had been able to banish it, then I was going to feel a little bit more confident with the way this game was going. But unfortunately, that was not the case. So I blocked with Haman, got my Honor Thy Enemy, played the stuff, and then I played Led Astray to kind of force his You Are Main trigger so that I could use Honor Thy Enemy to end the battle and not let him begin a new one. So Spies, he gets to look at my hand, and or no, he doesn't because of Haman negating characters. He does get to, he does make it mutual though, which is kind of what I was counting on with playing Led Astray there. I knew he didn't have any heroes other than Spies and Stone Carriers that he could add. So if he, because he added one that made it either mutual or stalemate, then I would get to play the next enhancement. So it wouldn't have really mattered because he could have played Joshua's Command, and then I just would have played Descent Against Moses to negate it. But it did let me then just end the battle and not have to worry about it. Maybe Descent Against Moses would have been better, though, like if I make him play Joshua's Command, but he didn't actually have to play Joshua's Command there because it was mutual, so I was the one who was going to be having to play something there anyway. I could have used 6 Bold to add one of his kings, I suppose, but all right, so here I did play Son of God. I think that was this turn. And I picked up the Humble, and I finally got my Zacchaeus, so I was like, oh, I can take the opportunity here to snipe Prince out of his territory, and either he has to underdeck me, because I only had 1 brigade. He can underdeck something in my territory, but then I'll just have initiative and be able to negate it. What he opts to do instead, which is a fairly heads-up play, which of course Josh is more than capable of making, but he just underdecks Prince himself, doesn't give me initiative to play anything, and then he gives me the Lost Soul. So Josh is currently ahead of 4-2. I do have Second Coming left on my deck and an Angel Party in my reserve, but he keeps on putting cards back in his deck. So he does play Forces Arise here, gets the A-Bomb, activates it, and gets to take out my Haman, and then he, in his upkeep, triggers Areopagus to draw 1, or make us each draw 1. I draw, he gets to discard my Amalekite Slave, and then in his prep phase, he activates A-Bomb to discard my Zacchaeus. So he's doing a pretty good job of keeping my territory clear. Joshua Greeks is definitely a very solid matchup, or solid pairing here. So something to watch out for sure. Dealing with his Promised Land was pretty significant. So that's something that if you're going up against Joshua Greeks, you want to be able to deal with Promised Land if you ever get the opportunity to do so. Josh and I were kind of talking about the game afterwards, and he was like, yeah, I knew that putting down Promised Land there was a little bit risky. I maybe should have just kept it in my hand and then played it in my discard phase and basically just never had an attack where Promised Land was vulnerable, it was exposed. He saw Torn Kingdom in my hand, but he just I think didn't really think about it, didn't realize like, oh yeah, I need to deal with this card. So that was something that he probably wouldn't make the same mistake again of leaving Promised Land vulnerable to a Torn Kingdom like that. But anyways, he kind of has a last-ditch effort attack here with his whole band, and then he's got at least Joshua's command left in his hand. I don't remember if he remembered his storehouse, or yeah, that's right, his storehouse is gone, I think so. Yeah, no storehouse trigger for him there. So anyway, I block with Ahasuerus, take falsified claims from my deck. Oh, that's right, yeah. I used falsified claims to reserve his storehouse, and then I went to my reserve for None to Rescue and Angel Party. I wanted to be able to get my Angel Party and then move my woes off of his Nazareth, because I figured that would be the way to stop him from using A-bomb against my Angel Party, was to stop him from searching his reserve. So if I took my woes off, then I could protect my Angel Party in a sense. He would still have Forces Arise though, so I'd have to figure out a way to deal with that, underdecking itself. But I figured if I could at least move woes off of that, then I could play Angel Party, have it semi-protected, and then because woes triggers my upkeep, then I would have to do that before New Covenant, so I couldn't do those in the same turn, where I used New Covenant to search for Angel Party after I'd taken woes off of Nazareth, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's why I did that. I took None to Rescue, Angel Party, played None to Rescue, reserved all of his heroes, except for Captain, and then let Captain die by the numbers. So I think he did forget his storehouse trigger to take the silver enhancement from reserve. And at this point, I believe he was out of heroes, so he's not getting a fifth Lost Soul. So stuck at 4, and basically, I think we figured out at this point that it was the last round of the game, time-wise, and so my Angel Party didn't really matter, unfortunately, and I had to kind of figure out if I could rescue a Lost Soul and get to my Second Coming, which is kind of tricky when he's got ways to deal with searching and drawing and answer that. So I just decided to kind of go for it anyway. I was like, well, if I'm going to trigger Judean mediums, I might as well do it in style. So I went with searching with New Covenant for Emmaus Road, and put down Gabriel and Res Revealer, which don't get greedy. That's the main thing. Like, why did I do this here? There's no neutral card that it matters for me to negate at this point, and so I didn't need to put them down. And I think part of the reason is because Judean Mediums and Prince are both back in Josh's hand after being shuffled and underdecked, whatnot, and so I'm kind of thinking about them generically, but not specifically. And so in my head, I was like, oh, I still Prince can still only underdeck one thing. That's what it was earlier. That's what it's going to be now. But as soon as I put down Gabriel, that gives me 2 more good brigades, and then I'm just kind of done. So I attack with Gabriel. I ban to Bartimaeus. He goes back into my discard pile for the banning one to Letha Kum, because I figured I wanted to have more characters in battle. Like, if I just put a bunch of characters in battle, you can't underdeck them all with Prince. And still kind of silly. Also, then he uses Forces Arise to activate A-Bomb from his reserve, and Distressed is out. So my Resurrection Revealer was literally doing nothing. It was just there in my territory, and the kind of fortunate side of events here. I had 9 cards left in my deck, I think, and the draw 1 off of Forces Arise got me 2 Lost Souls off the top, and then Second Coming. So Second Coming is the first non-Lost Soul out of those cards, which there were 3 Lost Souls or no, he rescued Hopper and then 2 Meatclaw Souls and three Meatclaw Souls. So yeah, Hopper, I don't know. What else did he rescue? I've got 5 Meatclaw Souls right there. There are 7 in the deck, so I don't know. He didn't need to play Forces Rise there, but he was kind of thinking about it for a different play. He was thinking of like Antiochus or something like that. And he was thinking Goliath. He was just hope I didn't have another hero or something. But then he realized like, oh wait, Medium's Prince is good here. And I was thinking, oh, he can underdeck one thing, and then I can use Resurrection on the other hero to abandon my other heroes. And yeah, it was just silly. What I should have done. So here's what I should have done instead: is Angel of the Winds to Watchful Servant. I don't get a draw because he doesn't have any heroes left, but I can reserve he didn't have a bottom card of his deck at that point either. That would have been kind of the thing that would have potentially got me there with Angel Party, as if like I could time it right to reserve his bottom card. But yeah, if his Forces Arise, but he ended up not ever giving me the opportunity. But anyway, I think instead of letting this play out here, let me if I can go over here. Yeah. Josh and I were just talking about the game for a little while afterwards here, and just kind of some of the things that we could have done there. I was talking about the plays that I could have made there, which Angel of the Winds to Watchful Servant, Band of Bart was definitely the play that I should have made. I think maybe he still gets the block. Maybe. I don't actually know. Like, I've got pretty much all of the good enhancements in my deck left. I've got Resurrection that can abandon Good Shepherd and Simon Cyrene and then play Glory. And yeah, I think that actually might have gotten there. I'm not positive, but basically if I don't put down Gabriel or Resurrection Revealer and then I go Angel of the Winds, and I've got only gold in play, so it's only one good brigade, he can get rid of one of my heroes, and then I can put in, or I can play Resurrection, finally get my Sychar out. So yeah, never saw Sychar, never saw High Places this game. It was just kind of a weird game as far as the draw, which you have to be prepared for if you're playing a 57 card deck. But then it was kind of wonky. I didn't have any of my tutors, and that's also one of the things that Greeks are good about, is just at least the defense, the way that Josh has built it, is it doesn't really let you play good enhancements typically. Like if you trigger Judean Mediums, you're going to get blocked by Prince or Prince of Greece, Prince of the Air or Prince of Greece. He does have a few other options, but because you're not always going to have Judean Mediums, but the artifact battle winning ability, with Forces Arise and that kind of stuff. Like, there's just a lot that he can do without really giving you much of an opportunity to respond. So, and also the dominance, like Warrior Overtaken, which I was not really expecting, but I guess like since he's just trying to get rid of heroes, that it kind of makes sense. And then the Forces Rise, Christian Martyr. Yeah, it's just lots of ways to actually discard, get rid of more or less permanently heroes. So I'm kind of curious. Maybe Redemption has to be find its way into some decks here. Bring back all the heroes, or Valley of Dry Bones could be kind of a fun tech. Book of the Covenant with Eternal Covenant, but that's pretty vulnerable. Abon can just discard it. So I don't know. I do like the deck that Josh has put together, the Joshua Greeks. I do think it works pretty well as far as like working together. I do think Joshua is going to struggle a little bit against some of the newer defenses that are actually a little more full, I guess. That was kind of how I felt last tournament season too, is that Joshua has a hard time against defenses that are a little bit more full if they can't, take out all of the answers that a defense has, which is why I think a lot of the better Joshua decks that I was seeing were playing the battle-winning dominance and trying to win battles that way. But now, I don't know, people are starting to play more evil dominance to get those blocks and more add to battle kind of stuff, or just more like take out your heroes before you have the opportunity to do anything. There's a little bit of that before, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it shakes out. Like if Joshua is actually going to be as big of a threat as it was somewhat last year. I think people still kind of underestimated it a little bit, but Tyler showed that it was good. Those were one of my big losses, I guess, at Nationals was against the Joshua deck, and then my game against Tyler, of course, that was a close one where he was playing Joshua deck, and so I don't know, they're good. They can definitely hit when the cards are right. You can see that he got the 3 Promised Land triggers in one turn, which was almost all he needed for this game. He was pretty close to winning this game, like 5-2 or 5-1, but just had the right amount of defense to overcome his surgical attacks there. So, all right. I think that's all my voice has left for today's video. So thank you all for watching. Thanks to Josh for the game. He ended up winning it 4-3 in time, which he said it was the first time he thinks that he's ever timed out in a Lackey Grand Prix game. You guys know I can't say the same for me. We got some long games on here, but I thought that it was a pretty fun game. It was a little unfortunate offensively for me. I take solace in the fact that I probably would have won the game if we had played it out to completion. So there's that. At the very least, I know that I wasn't going to let him get to 5, so it would have just been a matter of could I get to 5 or even 4 for that matter, which I think maybe would have been possible. I just have to not trigger Judean mediums and then go into battle. And I still had a few cards left in my deck and a few tricks in my sleeve. So anyways, thank you all for watching, for joining me on another hotel edition of Redemption with Jaden. Hope you guys enjoyed the game. We'll catch y'all next time.